Welcome aboard, folks. I'm Steven Malkowich, your captain on this adventure called Ship of Fools. I'm a fool. Lucky for you, I'm not sailing solo. Join me and a boatload of people, all just trying to make sense of this crazy world. It's a fabulous mess, and you're invited. Welcome, Manny Sobral. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
It's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Before we begin getting into the meat of the discussion here, for our listeners and our viewers, I want to just briefly run down who Manny Sobral is, and then we're going to get into the discussion here. You're a Canadian boxer, a celebrated Canadian boxer, and you achieved notable success as an amateur and a professional. And as an amateur, you were a three-time Canadian national champion and represented Canada at the 1988 Olympics in Seoul, South Korea. Internationally, you earned 5 gold medals for Canada in amateur competitions. In your professional career, you won the Canadian Super Welterweight title and went on to become the IBO International Boxing Organization World Super Welterweight Champion. You captured the IBO title with a victory over Aaron McLaren at Vancouver's Pacific Coliseum, which was a huge milestone in your career. Over your professional tenure, you compiled a record of 29 wins, 2 losses, and 1 no contest, and for a time was ranked among the top 10 welterweights in the world. Okay? Now we start.
I still can't believe it.
Now we start talking here, Manny.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn impressive.
Well, it's a weird thing is because when you're doing it, you don't think of it such, but I look back sometimes and I think to myself, was that really me? Because when you're involved in it, you're immersed and you're just so focused. Like you got like these, eye shields going and you're just going straight ahead, right? And, one thing leads to the next and you're always trying to get to the next step, right?
Mm-hmm. So tell you're from Mexico.
No,
originally? Spain. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Spain. I stand corrected.
Yeah,
I apologize. I have to be cognizant of this here and apologize.
It's all the countries.
I can't make that mistake.
No.
Spain.
I'm from a part of Spain they called Galicia, so I'm actually Gallego. And the Galician people are a lot different than the rest of the Spanish because we dance in kilts and play the bagpipes. We're very Scottish descent because it's in the very north of Spain, just above Portugal. So that's what I remember from a kid playing bagpipes. And my uncle was a piper and dancing in kilts. It's odd, but it's true.
Okay, so you moved to how old were you when you moved to Vancouver?
I was about 6 years old. Maybe. Yeah, I was 6 years old, turning 7, and my sister was a year and a half older than me, and my grandmother brought us over because my father came to Spain in 1968 before I was born, and then my mother came to Canada. Sorry, my dad left from Spain to come to Canada before I was born, and then my mom went to England and then came to Canada, and then when they set up home here, then they sent for my sister and me and my grandmother who took care of my sister and I. So it was a gradual move and obviously I don't really remember it, but that's what happened.
That's what happened. So you get here and you have to assimilate. Did you and when you got here you spoke Spanish?
Spanish, yeah.
So you had to learn English, right?
Yeah, and I remember being in grade 1 class and not knowing how to ask the teacher how to go to the washroom. So if you don't know how to speak the language, you use sign language. So I remember pointing and saying I got it. And good thing the teacher figured it out. So she showed me where the washroom was and went to Tillicum Elementary School and then Hastings Elementary. And those were real formative years. And, I look back and I was fortunate because I was a big kid young. But then I stopped growing at grade 8 or grade 9, right? So because I was a big kid, I wasn't really bullied per se or made fun of that I can remember. I know, when you're different, you get made fun of and things. I probably was, but I just rolled with it because I was a bigger kid and I didn't really care.
Mm-hmm. Did you get into a lot of altercations when you were young?
Not really. I don't recall getting in altercations. I remember just letting it roll off me, and yeah, because I was a chubby kid, so I had a nickname called Fat Man. So I remember just rolling with it and saying, well, whatever. Too bad. I like it. Who cares? If you want to, I can roll over you too. So don't worry about it. So that's the way I figured it. And I always had sort of a smile on my face. And I was very fortunate because I had a grandmother that loved me, a mother loved me and stuff. So I was very cuddled and that goes a long way too, because that's what I find, you know, nowadays. I'm a teacher, of course, and I see some kids that that are in care, and they don't have that one person that they can say loves them unconditionally, and it makes their growing up lives a lot different.
So, how did your tell me how did this journey towards boxing begin?
It was all by accident, really, because in grade 7 you start getting more conscious of your appearance. So I was fat man in elementary school. So I wanted to change that look. So that summer, the summer of 1980 or 81, I looked in like the Google of those days was called the Yellow Pages. So I looked at the Yellow Pages for a gym. So sure enough, there was a gym on Main and Hastings called the Inner City Gym. So I went down there, and my mom said, no, you can't go down there at nighttime or it's too late because it's not a very good area. Well, it wasn't like it is today, but there were still, different type of people down there. So I went at 11 in the morning, and I remember pulling the door, and the door was locked, but there was a gentleman inside sweeping up. So I knocked on the door thinking he'd come to open it, and he just shooed me away, and I kept knocking. So he looked up like the third time, and he throws his broom down, and he comes up and goes, "What do you want, kid?" And I go, "Oh, I don't know. I just want to lose weight. I want to work out." "How are you going to do that?" And I go, "Well, yeah, I'm going to ride the bike, lift some weights, maybe look like Arnold Schwarzenegger or something," right? Because he was big at the time. And the older gentleman, his name reminded me a lot of Mick from Rocky. So his name was Steve Valenchik. And Steve says, "No, you're not going to do that. You're going to box." So then he said, "Come on in." And he had these things that he put on his hands. They're called hand pads. And he goes, "Okay, start punching, kid." And I started punching, and from then on, like I pretty much went every day that summer at 11 in the morning, and Steve did this for me. And at that point in September, my mom said, "No, you can't go down there because it's too late at night after school." So I had to find another boxing club, which is called the Hastings Community Center, which is by the P&E on Hastings Street. And I started boxing there. And really, the way I got involved in boxing was by accident. Just wanted to lose weight.
You wanted to lose weight.
So that was it. But I fell in love with it. And so then I started going to the Hastings Community Center, but it wasn't as serious as this Steve guy. And so I looked around, and then I was at Hastings Community Center for about 6-8 months, and I had my first boxing match, and I ended up losing because I was still overweight. So I boxed with this real tall guy named Deep Butter, and I was in deep trouble because Deep Butter, I didn't totally get beaten up or nothing like that, but obviously lost, and I just wanted to get better. And so I decided to go to this Astoria Boxing Club, and I tried it out, and it was a lot more serious. And Astoria Boxing Club was not quite to Main Street, but near Clark. It's in the Astoria Hotel in the basement on Hastings Street, and still a bit of grungy area. And George Angelo Maz was the boxing coach there, and George was a criminal lawyer and kind of an interesting gentleman himself. And so George coached me basically in, I don't know, 5 or 6 years at the Olympic Games with Canada.
So how did you? The thing is that what? Okay, you start boxing because you want to lose weight.
Yeah.
Okay, that's simple enough. Yeah. But there's got to be something else to stay in it. You don't because you're going to get hit in the head. There's a lot of things that are not, I'd say, not pleasant about boxing.
There could be, but also it's almost like a drug, because The amazing thing about boxing is that it's not per se like a street fight or nothing. It's more of a science to it. And that's why they call it the sweet science, because if you use your jab and you use angles, like it was presented to me, boxing is a piece of pie, because a piece of pie is a triangle piece, right? So you have a triangle in front of you. So if your opponent's in your triangle, you can hit them. But the problem is your opponent also has a triangle in front of them. So if you're in their pie or their triangle, they can hit you. So you basically have to step out of their triangle, but keep them in your triangle or your pie, and you got the advantage. So that's the way I try to figure it out. Like fake this way, go that way, or fake that way and go this way, or step out and stay safe. And I looked at boxing more as a strategic. And like Lennox Lewis at the Olympic, who I was a teammate with at the Olympics, he said it beautifully. He said, boxing is like chess. I think of boxing like chess, and he played a lot of chess. And, you give up a pawn to get their king somehow, right? Same with boxing. You can give up a jab to land a right hand or a left hook or whichever. So if you see it that way, it makes it a lot different. And that's, by me losing my first boxing match, just gave me more of a hunger to learn the science. So, I mean, I read every book there was, like at school, and there's a corner store near where I lived, near the Kootenai Loop, and then they sold boxing books. So I was always getting the Ring magazine and reading up on it and stuff. And I mean, I fell in love with it. Like it was something that I just thought of 24/7, really.
When did you when did you think, at what age did you think that you could make a go of this? And I mean, like, even like seriously, the precursor to that is, and I don't believe that in Canada here, I'll speak specifically in Canada, we put enough emphasis on our Olympic athletes and what it takes to get to the Olympics. Okay. It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And we just we starve our athletes. And then there's an expectation that we're going to win gold medals. And meanwhile, we're competing with other countries that don't starve their athletes. But the thing is to represent Canada in 1988 in Seoul, the path leading to that, okay, from, an overweight 12-year-old or 13-year-old. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that journey, because you don't, like, did you ever, when you were 12, 13, 14 years old, did you ever think, holy shit, I might be boxing in the Olympics? Did that ever enter your mind, or was it just it just sort of perpetuated itself?
I think more than anything, it just, one thing led to the next. Like you win the provincials, and you go to the nationals, and I remember getting a silver. Oh, okay, next year I'm going to try to get the gold. It just, it sort of perpetuates itself. But, more than anything, I had a dream of being like a Sugar Ray Leonard or a Muhammad Ali, because that's what was in the Ring magazines. Yeah. Ring magazines didn't have the amateur boxers, but a lot of those guys started the Olympics, so I read about their histories. So, Sugar Ray Leonard was the 1976 Olympic gold medalist. Muhammad Ali was the 1960 in Rome Olympic gold medalist. So I started thinking, well, I want to do like these guys, so I got to do this. So, at around 15 or so, I started thinking, well, this is the path that I have to take, and that's what I wanted to do. And, it's the inspiration that you get from.
And who did you have? Like, obviously, how did your parents take this?
It's funny because, even though I say that my mom didn't want me to go downtown and stuff when it got dark in that area because it was dangerous, my mom, she never went to not one of my boxing matches. And really, parents sort of just let me do what I wanted. Like my mom worked at Vancouver at the St. Paul's Hospital pretty much from the time she got to Canada. And, she was doing her thing, and she bought the groceries, did everything. So she didn't have necessarily the time to do it, to follow me. But she always said, she would ask me, well, are you okay? Or if I had, a little Shiner or something. What happened? Well, you shouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
But still, she wanted me to be happy, so she allowed, she didn't.
Did she ever come to the gym and check it out? No.
Never.
Just trusted you?
Yeah, just trusted me. And I think it was different in the 80s too, like they didn't have everything. Like nowadays, you pretty much hear of every crime anywhere.
Well,
because you got the internet, you got everything, right? But so I think my mom was a trusting lady, but she always says, "Oh, you better do good. You always be good, be good.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do something that's bad." And I really admire that about her, and I really am fortunate to have someone that cared about me like that, right?
So when you what club when you switched clubs?
Yeah.
And who was your who would you consider to be at that early age bringing you along as a mentor, like a trainer, a mentor, or somebody that's saying, "Hey, you know what, Manny?
Yeah,
you got it." Or did you have that?
I sort of had that too, because I went to different clubs as well to learn from different people, because there was an American by the name of Bob Decker that came up to Canada, and he went to that old inner city gym. And so I would go, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'd go to the Astoria, and then Tuesday, Thursdays, I would go to the inner city gym, and Bob Decker used to coach me. And Bob was very good at the fundamentals. And what was good about Bob, too, being an American, we used to go to the States every second or third weekend to box with the Americans, like at the Tacoma Golden Gloves or Portland Golden Gloves, Seattle Golden Gloves. And I don't know if there's been another boxer that's done it, but I won all three of them. So it's kind of like the triangle of good, like Pacific Northwest boxing.
Yeah.
Tacoma, Seattle, Portland Golden Gloves. And I was actually...
How old were you when...
I was around 16, 17.
16 years old.
Yeah. Because at 16, you could box 25-year-olds at that time because you were a senior. At the Tacoma Golden Gloves in 1987, I boxed 5 matches, because on Friday night, Friday, I boxed twice in the afternoon and the evening, and I boxed twice on Saturday, and then I boxed the finals on Sunday, and I beat some real good boxers. Like there's a guy named Paul Vaden that went on to win a world title as a professional, and there's a guy named Emmett Litton that was really good, and that's what made me better too, is because it was good competition against the Americans. And I was fortunate that Bob was part of my life, that we used to take me a lot to those tournaments, whereas George at the Astoria, we'd go more like the Alberta Golden Gloves. So I had the best of both worlds in a way.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate to have these people help me out. But a lot of it happens too, that if you're into it, people tend to help you more.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I gave it all my all. So I was fortunate.
Good teachers want good students.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably that's what it is. Right?
That's what it is.
I mean, it's just, you feed off each other. So that's what was helpful.
So this is in the 80s. What was life at school when you were become this pugilist? And you're like, was everybody at school aware of don't mess with Manny? Or did you?
Yes and no, but I wasn't an aggressive guy.
You don't seem like an aggressive. Yeah. That's the thing.
So I sort of stuck to my own, but I do remember at Templeton High School, because that was high school I went to, in grade 9, the senior grade 11 and grade 12s, in the boys' changing room, they put up those small, those benches that they have in the changing rooms, like the wooden benches. So they put like 4 benches, like one on this side, and then another bench. So it made a square, like a boxing ring, and then this guy brought boxing gloves, and they throw them in the middle, and then you box him, and then, all the grade 11 or 12 are boxing each other. Everyone's cheering, like, it's kind of funny that the teachers must have known what was going on, but they didn't really give a, they had their lunch. They wanted to have their lunch. They didn't want to bother these kids, right? So anyway, at one point, I was just there, right? And then some guys that were supposed to be my friends, the way it would happen is one guy would win, and then he'd be the sort of the champion, then someone else would challenge him, right? So I'm just watching. And
you're in what, grade 8?
Grade 9.
Grade 9.
And I was just keeping to myself, and then some kid that was in my grade pushed me. He'll do it. So, I can't back down, right? So because I knew how to box, I remember the guy's name, and I still talk to him this day. We're friends. His name is Angelo Carusi, and Angelo, poor. I feel
He did. He had no
never
clue.
boxed.
He had no
So no, you just boom, boom, fake them a few times, and when you fake, the guys bite, right? So anyway, so then I'm the champ, right? So then
in grade 9.
yeah,
You're the champ.
yeah. So then, okay, he wants to box Manny. So the toughest, quote unquote, toughest guy in the school, Johnny Kuka, comes up. Well, I'll do it. And, a minute and a half later, Johnny Kuka had enough. So, like. And after that, I'd get challenges, but it was kind of a thing that I never really bit to it. Like I said, yeah, whatever. Like, come on.
Because,
Yeah. Well, it's not that I felt that I was superior or anything.
But you don't need to.
Yeah, prove it. Yeah, exactly. So I was very fortunate that sort of happened. And, I mean, there's no... I think maybe at that point even I thought there's no benefit to this. Like the problem too is the reason they invented boxing gloves is because boxers were breaking their hands. So I didn't feel like getting my hand broken just because of a stupid altercation. Right? So not that went through my mind either, but I was sort of thinking, well, damn, I don't want to hit that guy in the forehead because that's like a piece of rock. So, yeah, I kind of stayed to myself and went through life just trying to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. And if you have a focus, and it doesn't have to be boxing, it could be playing the guitar, it could be music, dance, it could be whatever. But I always think that, because before boxing, I used to deliver newspapers. And I used to get subscriptions to people to sign up, which was big back then. And I went to I got trips to California, to Florida, because if you get more than 125 subscriptions, you get these prizes. So I was totally focused on that. So I'm fortunate in life that I went from one thing of delivering papers and getting subscriptions to the next thing that I loved was boxing. And then I'm in the process of my life now with the teaching and also coaching a bit of boxing that I do. And, I'm getting to the stage of life, maybe 5-8 more years and I'll retire from teaching and then hopefully do more in the boxing. I don't know. Maybe something else will come in life. Who knows? But I get gravitated sometimes and just focus in.
So the road, I want to kind of harp on this here a little bit because the Olympics is a big deal. Okay. And you go, but it is a big deal.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is. It's a big deal. And that road, explain that process. You obviously you earn your stripes in the amateur world,
right.
Like moving up. But explain that process of making the road to making that Olympic team, and then actually finding and saying, you know what, I'm going to South Seoul, man.
Yeah, it was a challenge because sort of the road to Seoul was you'd have to win the national championships and you had to be ranked in the top 16 in the world because they only sent 9 boxers. There was 12 weight classes, so there's 3 boxers from Canada that did not get to go because they weren't theoretically ranked 16th in the world, top 16 in the world. So the way you get there is you win international tournaments, and that's how I won those 5 international tournaments. I got gold medals in Italy, Bulgaria, Venezuela. Anyway, I won 5 gold medals and my biggest win was against this Francek Vastag, who had 400 amateur matches and only lost like 17 matches. So
that was the Romanian.
The Romanian guy that had won the world championships like 3 times. And, after that, I basically assured myself a spot in a way. And,
so how do you get, do you get a phone call? Do you get a letter?
What happens is, you have to win the national championships.
Okay.
You win the national championships, and then the national champion gets first dibs according to the international tournaments. So I went to probably 12, 13, 14, I forget. I was probably in 15 different countries boxing for Canada. And then...
how are you getting funding for this? How do you get funding?
Back then there's more funding than there is today. It was all funded. It was 100% funded back in the 80s. Nowadays, you win the... to go to the nationals, you have to pay your own airfares in BC. Back then, we didn't have to. Back then, there was more money in the pot. Now there isn't. It's very unfortunate, and that's part of the reason why I started a society called the Greater Vancouver Boxing Society, which helps amateur boxers in BC pay their way to different tournaments. Like we're paying a couple of guys to go to the nationals this year that are in Winnipeg. Oddly enough. November 26th to 30th, I believe it is. And so this guy, Ashton from the DCS, is going to get his airfare paid and hopefully do something.
So explain the weight classifications of boxing. Can you please could you do that for me, Manny?
Oh,
can you do that? Okay.
No, I can't because they change them all the time, especially amateur boxing. Amateur boxing, it starts with 106, which is light flyweight. 112 is flyweight. 119 is bantamweight. 126 is featherweight. 135 is lightweight. 140 is junior welterweight. 147 is welterweight. Junior middleweight is 154. Middleweight's 160. 168 is super middleweight. 175 is light heavyweight, and then cruiserweight's 200, and then heavyweight's over 200. So there's a lot of weight classes.
Just did it.
But the problem is they change the numbers all the time. Like amateur boxing, especially, like they eliminated the 147 weight class. Now they call it the light welterweight, which is like 143 or something. But it changes. Like you got to look at these books all the time because I don't really know why they change it, to tell you the truth, but they do. Well, and now because they've integrated female boxing too, so they have weight classes, so they can't have as many male weight classes for the Olympics as they used to have because they integrated the female weight classes. So now I think there's 6 female weight classes and 7 male weight classes for the Olympics. Whereas before there used to be 12 male weight classes, now it's down to 7.
So you were a super welterweight.
I was
or welterweight.
As a professional, I was a super welterweight.
So what weight was that?
154.
154, super welterweight, professionally.
Professionally, yeah.
Okay, and when you boxed in the Olympics, what
147.
147 welterweight.
Yeah.
See, I
know. Weight class.
But that's the best job that anybody's ever done explaining it to me. Now, whether or not any of it will be retained in here, Manny, is another question. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
But so when you went to the Olympics in '88, how many weight classes were there?
12.
12.
Yeah. From flyweight to super heavyweight. And of course, the super heavyweight class was won by the Canadian Lennox
Lewis
from Kitchener, Ontario. Yeah.
Are you still buddies with him?
Yeah, I still talk to Lennox, and Lennox is a funny guy, and hopefully get him here for one of our shows at the River Rock or something. Although this River Rock show in February, we're going to have a guest by the name of Gordy Rousset. And Gordy Rousset was a very famous heavyweight here in Vancouver back in the 80s because he boxed a guy named Trevor Burbick. And
I remember Trevor Burbick.
And then Sylvester Stallone bought Gordy Rousset's contract and wanted to make him the real like heavy, like a Rocky Marciano heavyweight, but Gordy, he got to the top 10 in the world, but just didn't crack that they get the end. And
boxing, the other thing with boxing too is that there's so many, there's so many associations.
Yeah.
Like there's so, and it can't, I don't.
Exactly. You can't follow it. That's the problem. And that they're trying to change that. And the people that are trying to change it now is the UFC, Dana White.
Yeah, Dana White.
So he wants to just make it one champion. And I agree with that, right? Because not to underplay the IBO World title I won, because it was still sort of a legitimate title, but still there's like 4 other champions and different, like the WBC, WBO, IBF, right? So, it's hard to keep track. I agree. There should only be one. Back in the day, there was just one champion, right? Like Muhammad Ali was the world champion.
Was world champion. And that is the because I can't, it's very difficult to keep track.
And the reason they're doing it is because each of those associations is charging a sanctioning fee to the promoter to box for their championship. So it's an economic thing why that's happening. It's not because these guys are just out the kindness of their heart make up these titles. They're making it because they charge a $5,000 or $10,000 sanctioning fee to box for their title.
So when you box in the Olympics, you ended up, if my memory serves me correctly, you lost to the fellow that won the bronze medal.
Correct, Jani Nyman from Finland,
and
he won the bronze medal in the '84 Olympics as well. So I thought I was going in.
Did you think you had a chance?
I thought I had a chance, but and it was a split decision, meaning 3 judges thought he'd won, 2 judges thought I'd won. So it was very close. Like I was in the match and stuff, but can't do it twice. You can't take it back. So it is what it is. And I sort of did the best that I could at that particular time. And so I think it would have been better for me had I got a draw with a guy that was not necessarily as good, because then tournaments, I felt that I got stronger as the tournament went on because I was very fit. And I was 19. I was in shape of my life.
So when did you decide that you were going to turn professional?
That didn't happen until quite a while later, because what happened is I went to school right after that, because when you were on the national team, it paid for your schooling. So I went to Cap College at that time. And then when I got back in '88, I went to Douglas College because I decided I wanted to do a phys ed degree and become a teacher, because I met, what was his name? Dean. His son was an Olympic decathlete. Steen. His last name was Steen. And he got a bronze medal at the Olympics. Dave Steen, his name was. Dave Steen's dad was at the Olympics, and I got to meet him and be good friends with him. And he's a high school teacher in Burnaby at Burnaby Central. So he kind of inspired me to be sort of a teacher too. So I came back and sort of, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, although I had some credits at Cap College. So then I went to Douglas to get the phys ed credits that I needed. And then I ended up going to UBC, but so I didn't really box. I boxed a little bit here and there, but I wasn't totally into it. I was more into the school, and I had some offers to turn pro, but because I saw those guys at Miami, just
tell us about that.
It was crazy. Like,
so you were down in Miami.
I was in Miami training, because what happened was I used to read those ring magazines all the time, and there's a guy named Hank Kaplan who was a contributor to the Ring magazine, and Hank was the the people that write up stories about other people. Like he was basically Angelo Dundee trained a guy by the name of Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, and a bunch of 15 other world champions. But Hank Kaplan was the writer. Like he wrote all the stories about Ali and about Sugar Ray Leonard and stuff. And then suddenly, of course, we're in the Ring magazine. So one of the magazines had his address on it. So I decided to write the Hank Kaplan a letter, because back then there's no emails.
Yeah.
And he wrote me back. And he said, well, why don't you come down to Miami and train, and I can introduce you to Angelo and stuff. So I went down there, and before I met Angelo, I trained at a gym called the Fifth Street Gym, where Ali trained back in the day. But by this time, Angelo had moved to a place called Hollywood, Florida. So I traveled to there to met with him, and he helped me show me things. And
how old were you then?
I was 18, 19.
Okay, were you going to school?
I just graduated. I graduated at 17 because my birthday's in September.
Okay, so
I would have been 18 at the time.
So you head down to Miami.
Yeah, for 6 months.
And
I trained at the best gyms in the world, and training at this Caron's gym, which is in Little Havana, and then that's where there was a lot of old guys that just, it was very sad. So I didn't want to end up like that, but at the same time, I didn't think,
it was sad.
Be like this guy.
When you say it was sad, where they were broke and punch drunk?
Broke, punch drunk, I mean, there was a guy named Alfredo Gomez who was a former world champion, and some guy came in there and chased him out of the gym, shooting at him like with a pistol. Like, it was crazy. I'm thinking to myself, how can this be? This guy made millions of dollars, and someone wants to kill him. Like, it doesn't make sense. And Bo Jack was running the Fifth Street gym, and a room in the back was his house. Like, he was living in the gym. And this Bo Jack guy, in the 60s and 50s, he made hundreds of thousands, which would have been millions today, right? But again, how does someone end up like that? So I didn't want to end up like that. So that's why I decided to get an education instead of going pro right away. And what happened in 1991, in about September 91, they had this thing called the BC Tough Man competition here in BC, which was boxing rules, but you're able to sort of elbow and you got away with different things. So I went to, they had it at the Agrodome because they had 8 cities in BC, like Victoria, Kelowna, Vernon,
Prince
George. There had the 8 cities, right?
Yeah.
So whoever won those cities would come back to Vancouver and fight in the finals, right? So I watched the Vancouver one, and I said, I know I can beat these guys. It's $10,000 winner take all, right? Which at the time, 1991, was a money. Yeah, so I went to the 9-1. I qualified for the finals. So I came back in Vancouver, and then I won it all. So then I started going back to amateur boxing because 92 would have been it was the 92 Olympics. So I sort of was on the road to doing what I did in 88, right? Like winning the nationals and going to international tournaments. But then there was I don't know how you say this, but I was blocked because at that time, if you're an amateur, you can't make money. It was very strict.
Yeah. So you had won the 10 grand already.
Yeah. So they said, because you fought the tough man and made money, you can't box amateur. So they stopped me from boxing amateur, and then they said, well, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So that's why I boxed pro. So then I made my pro debut. And
where'd you make your pro? Where was your first professional fight?
New Westminster. At the Royal Towers Hotel and Casino. Hotel and Casino, that's it is. Yeah, Royal Towers. Is it still there?
It's still, the
building's still there.
Oh yeah, I used to be the publisher of the newspaper at Westminster,
okay.
and that was what I moved out here in '94 for.
Yeah.
And I knew the family that owned the hotel very well.
Oh wow,
very well, very well. So
that's
what year? What year?
It would have been 92, I think.
It would be 2 years before I arrived.
Yeah, 92 or 93.
Did you win?
Yeah, I won my pro debut, and then I think I won like 20 matches in a row, and then I decided, well, I got to get better sparring, so in 1996, I decided to move to Las Vegas, which in retrospect was a bit of a mistake, because when I was in Vegas, then everyone sees who you're training with and how good you might be, where it's better to come from the outside where no one really knows who you are. And then, because there were some matches that I should have had that were never materialized because people said, well, why are you going to take a chance against that guy? Or I just saw him last week at the top ranked gym and he looked really good. So why would you take a chance, right? Yeah, possibly. Or why take a chance, right?
Yeah.
So that was a problem because some matches didn't materialize that they should have materialized for me. Where in retrospect, had I come from Vancouver and just gone there for a week or two, not as many people would have seen it.
Did you have a manager?
Yeah, I had a manager, and he was paying the bills basically. And his name was Jerry Gilroy. Jerry Gilroy's because I boxed quite a bit in Edmonton. So Jerry, he was a jewelry salesman. He used to box back when he was younger, so he took over my career. And he wasn't really a boxing guy, but the person that did the best for me, because I started boxing at an Indian casino in, it was called the Lucky Eagle Casino in Washington State, because it was just at the beginning when they started in the indigenous lands, they're building casinos. And that's how they were making, generating revenue. So it was called the Lucky Eagle Casino, and I had maybe 3 or 4 matches at that casino, and a guy by the name of Benny Giorgino was the matchmaker. that did it all. But Benny Giorgino was more than a matchmaker, because back in the day he managed world champions like a guy named. He was the featherweight champion of the world. But I was in Vegas with Benny one day. We were walking through the Caesar's Palace, and all you hear is, Benny! And who was it? This guy with his hair sticking up named Don King. So we had lunch with Don
King. That's pretty cool. That is
really cool. It was super cool.
Don King.
And Benny Giorgino knew everybody in boxing, and he helped me out a lot, right? Got my record to what it was. And he was getting me opponents that were the proper opponents, like guys that were once were, but they weren't as good as they once were, but they still had the name. So I beat some pretty decent fighters that had big wins in their records because of Benny Giorgino, and got me world ranked and got me the opportunities to fight for the IBO World title. And I got to thank Benny for a lot of that. And he wasn't my manager or anything, but he was, it benefited him to have someone people like box at that casino. So there was transfer.
So when you're winning these matches professionally, what's the purse? What kind of dough are you making?
7,500. I made 25,000 because it was a winner take all in Edmonton. Was this guy named Tony Bad Boy Lee? The first fight we had was a $25,000 winner take all, and I stopped them in the 11th round, and it was a good payday. But again, it's one of those things that in boxing, you're down here, there's really nothing in the middle, and then you're going to make the hundreds of thousands or millions. Like I was scheduled to box friggin' Oscar De La Hoya, and I would have cashed in, couple millions. So, and that didn't happen because I had a rematch with Tony Badilla about a year after I beat him, because it wasn't necessarily controversial, but Jerry Gilroy, my manager, was from Edmonton. So I was supposed to be fighting for the Commonwealth title in Edmonton against a guy from Australia. And the guy from Australia is a southpaw. So I'm sparring with guys that are southpaws and stuff down in Vegas. And I get to Edmonton, and then Jerry tells me, the guy that you're supposed to box, he got hurt. So the only guy I could get was Badilla again. So you're going to fight Badilla, but don't worry, because he only got like 5 days notice, right? And I go, well, Jerry, it was a tough fight against Badilla. Why would I take a chance? Fight him again. Yeah. And, at that time, I think I was 4th or 5th in WBC, which is the main organization. And Jerry goes, well, that's all I could do. What do you think? I put all this money into you, and da-da-da-da-da. So he kind of, but then I talked to Benny Giorgino, and Benny says, no, man, don't do it. I said, yeah, but, this guy's going to lose all this money because he's promoted this show, blah, blah, blah. It was at the Shaw Center in Edmonton. And anyway, I got talked into the fight, right? Took it. So I took it, and I broke my ankle in the 4th round. And the fight went till the 7th with a broken ankle because of all that adrenaline by the time the minute. So I lost the opportunity with De La Hoya and everything, and it was kind of shitty because then, after that, then everything that I was getting from Gilroy, everything got cut off, right? But then I had teaching to go back to, so it's not a big deal, but it's cutthroat is what we'll try to say. And then, later on, I find out the guy never even got hurt because Jerry wasn't selling as many tickets. So that's why he changed the opponent. So it's cutthroat. Yeah, exactly. So you feel kind of shitty about it, and it is what it is. And maybe it wasn't meant to be. Maybe something worse would have happened had the other guy come, but I was ready for a southpaw, not a friggin' orthodox. And, and that's what Benny was trying to tell me, but I didn't listen to Benny, That's why in boxing you need to have someone that's really knowledgeable rather than someone that just had done it at some point. It's kind of a hobby for them, But my career would have been a little different as a pro had that not happened. But again, you got to move on. You can't look backwards.
So after this, after this, the broken ankle, you did you make a decision that listen, or
Pretty much. I moved back to Vancouver from Vegas. I brought all my stuff back home because, I mean, that ankle took like a year to heal because they put 2 screws in and everything because it was a compound fracture. Like,
would you roll on it or what happened?
Well, see, this is what happened too is the canvas was too loose. They wanted to put a canvas that had a logo in the middle from a sponsor that was for a 22-foot ring. But the ring was only a 20-foot ring, so there's 2 feet of extra flooring.
Yeah.
So every time you move around, it would crimp up, like
okay,
this.
I gotcha. Yeah.
So I took a step back, and the thing crinked up, and you don't want to lift your foot up, so it just moved in and it down. So then my fibula popped out of my friggin' thing. But you have a boxing boot, so it's like a cast. So I had no idea. But by the time, when I got out of the thing was soaked up in blood. Like, it was crazy. It was it was sick, man. Like, the people at the hospital couldn't believe it. And, of course, Gilroy didn't give a rap. Didn't give a shit. So,
So you come back. So you come back. Takes a year for this thing. You have to have surgery.
Yeah.
Got to get it healed.
Yeah.
And have you decided and said, listen, man,
I went back to teaching because by this time I'd already my teaching degree, and which is an amazing thing, which is very important. You got to have not necessarily a backup, but you have to have something that you also like to do and something that can create a living for you too, right? So I had that, and it wasn't that boxing was over, but I was disheartened about the way Gilroy treated me and stopped caring, and I couldn't get a hold of him. That was it, right? Like, and
he ghosted you.
Yeah, basically, in today's words, and but I was somewhat fortunate because there's a lawyer that I knew from Calgary that was also at the boxing matches that was sort of following me, so we did sue and we came out okay, and so we took it the right way rather than try to go after him physically,
which does happen.
Yeah, I could. Like, it happens in boxing all the time, or any sport really. Guys go nuts.
Yeah,
but yeah. So then Benny had another show in about a year and a half after that. Benny had a show at the Lucky Eagle again, and there was kind of what do you call these guys that are kind of mediocre boxers? His name was, he'd fought a lot of good fighters. He beat some guys, lost to some guys. He was middle range guy. But anyway, Benny asked me if I wanted to do that, and I said, well, what do you think, Benny? Oh, he's good for you. He's got the right style, this and that and other. And so I won our 10-round decision, and I got ranked back in the world, the top 20 in the world after that. So after that, I was getting all these phone calls from HBO, from everywhere.
Really?
But fight real good guys. I had a guy named Jermaine Taylor who was really up and coming at the...
What year are we talking about now?
We're talking about 99, 2000.
Okay.
And so I got a funny call from Denmark. I forget the promoter's name, but there's a guy named Mikael Kessler that was up and coming. He was like 20-0 or 25-0. And I looked at some videos. It didn't look that spectacular. Not to say that I thought I would be able to beat him. I said, I know I can hang with this guy, but they offered me some pretty good money. We're talking 6 digits. So I said,
got your attention.
Yeah, I got my attention. And I said, okay, let's go to Denmark. So I called my buddy Russ Amber in Montreal up that is now trained Usyk and stuff. And, hey, Russ, what do you think? He goes, you're kind of stupid to do this, buddy. And I go, yeah, but Russ, we can go and have fun. Because I boxed with Russ at the Copenhagen Cup, like in 1987, like, 10 years earlier. Well, we can go back to Tivoli Gardens because there's this amazing park there. And Russ goes, oh, that sounds not bad. Why don't we go? So we went off to Denmark, and Kessler was a bit better than I thought. And at the end of the 4th round, I wasn't going to beat him. So, Russ says, okay, I hurt my hand, and he's hurt his hand. He can't go on. So that was the end of my boxing career. But it was a good exit. So, I mean, Kessler went on to win multiple world titles, and he was one of the best. He fought a guy named Andre Ward that retired undefeated. He lost the award, but it was a very close match. And, Kessler was a damn good boxer.
Uh-huh.
And he was 2 weight classes bigger than me because I was usually 154. This was at 168.
How big of a when they the recent fight here that we were talking about before we started to record here, the making weight and the weight classes, and the ability that like what Crawford did, okay, like he went up, that's pretty difficult, is it not?
I think it is difficult, but I mean, Crawford was probably walking around at 168 and he just got down to 154, 147, just, kind of, put a sweat bag on and just lost a bunch of water height. But it makes a difference. But I mean, again, for a guy like Crawford with the skills he's got and he's ambidextrous and he can switch this way, that way. And
he was
the little angles he gives him.
That was a good fight.
Yeah, it was a great fight.
That was a great fight.
Yeah, just the way he was able to dismantle.
What's your opinion? I'm going to ask you your opinion. What was your opinion on Tyson fighting that Logan Roy or whatever the hell his name was?
Logan Paul.
Or whatever the hell. Yeah, Logan
Paul. It was horrible. Like, Tyson couldn't even walk. Like, they had him all in these videos, like, punching the bag. And I think they made him faster or something. They made him look great. So to make the public think, oh yeah, Tyson was like he was back then. But when you looked at him in the ring, he could not walk.
Yeah.
There's something seriously wrong with that guy.
Does Mike need the money?
Yeah, probably. I would think so. I mean, Mike just went through tons of money and he doesn't.
Because that was a shitty shit.
It was horrible. It was horrible. And I mean, it's horrible how a guy like this can come out of nowhere, like Paul, and someone think like if he gets in with any top 10 guy, he'll get beat. Yeah, he'll get beat. Yeah. His weight class. Yeah.
I'd like to see that.
So would I, but he won't. Of course he won't.
He won't.
He talks about it, but that's just talk.
Yeah. But you see, the thing is, though, that the fact that, that we're talking about this.
I mean, that's what gives him.
Exactly.
That's what gives him what he's got, right?
Exactly.
But, I mean, a lot of it, too, like Muhammad Ali, would people have known Muhammad Ali had he not talked the way he did?
Yeah,
and do this?
Like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
And then I'm going to do this. I'm going to go out in the second round. I hit him with 2 jabs, a right hand. If he's still standing, I'm going to make him run. But he's visualizing. It's amazing. It's beautiful, like how he can say what he's going to do, right?
Yeah, and the thing is that there's a market for boxing, man. It's like sports in general is the last vestige of appointment viewing. Right. If you know what I mean. Everything else is you binge watch shit.
Yeah.
But you don't when there's a card, when there's a fight and it's going to be a good fight.
Yeah.
And
people gravitate.
That's right. And I'll tell you this, I'll give Netflix a shout out with that fight. They did the preamble to the fight and set the stage for it. Yeah. And it was we were watching it. My wife and I were watching it, and going, is this going to be real? Like, because you're always questioning that, or is this just going to be like a setup? Is this a setup? But it was real.
Yeah.
It was real.
It's crazy.
And love to see that stuff. Yeah. Love to see that. And Dana White getting involved in it, hopefully will bring it.
Yeah. Bring it more, bring it so it's the legitimacy of it. You know what I'm saying? So it's not this, not that. And hopefully it goes with that. But the thing that it might take away is the purses, right? Because if there's no competition, and then the purses could lower. So who knows, right?
Yeah.
Because the guys in the UFC are getting paid hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
Top boxers are getting paid millions of dollars. So that's because there's competition.
Yeah, that's right. And that drives the market up.
Yeah.
So now you're still teaching.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have are you working with boxers?
Yeah, I work I had a gym from 2004 until 2020 COVID called the North Burnaby Boxing Gym, which was at Rev's Bowling in Burnaby. And Rev Bowling, it's right on Hold'em Station, so they're going to build high rises there. So they sold the property and we basically got the boot. And I mean, the bowling alley's still open until they tear everything down, but they didn't want to keep the fitness center. So then I moved over to a gym called Diaz Combat Sports, and I pulled back a little bit because I have a son as well. He's 15, turning 16, plays soccer, and really I want to spend more time with him.
Does he put the gloves on?
He has a little bit, but he's not interested, right? So
you can't make
boxing. Boxing is one of those sports that if your heart's not into it, forget about it. Because who wants?
That's right.
Take punches, right? And
taste your own blood.
Yeah, and like Leo, my son, he's named after my uncle Leo, and he's got the looks, man. Like he's 6'1", got the blonde hair. And we were walking down the street the other day, and some young girl says, "Oh, nice hair." Like, "Oh, thank you very much." Not you, him. So I kind of crack up. Like, why was I born like this? Yeah. Like I never had a girl tell me that when I was your age.
And the last thing this kid needs is a punch in the head.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, everyone does that.
Pretty nose, right?
Yeah. His nose and his pretty hair.
Yeah.
So you're working out of
Diaz Combat Sports.
Okay, and so are you working with some fighters right now?
Well, last night we had matches at the Grand Villa Casino, and this is a weird thing. There's I call him a kid, but he's actually an adult. He's like 25 years old. He lives in Toronto, but he's in the logistics business. Basically, they have warehouses the company works for in Vancouver, Los Angeles, Miami, and Toronto. So it's like a square. So they transfer things or anyway, he's got to come to Vancouver every once in a while. So when he comes to Vancouver, he comes to train with me at Diaz. So every month and a half, he comes here when we train. And in Toronto, I hooked him up with one of my Olympic teammates, Egerton Marcus, and he trained with Egerton in Toronto. So he had his first match yesterday, and he won. And it's crazy. Like it's like he's on cloud nine, and it's just boxing. It's a microcosm of life because you go in the boxing ring for, especially having a 3-3-minute rounds or 3 12-minute rounds, and anything can happen. It's never a straight line. Everything's going well. You get caught with a shot. Oh, I better readjust. See, with life, everything's going well, and this didn't go so well. My relationship ended with whoever I was with, or my job didn't go the way I wanted to do. Same like life. Boxing's the same as life. It's never a straight line, and then you got to somehow get yourself back on your feet to finish it. And Willie did that last night, and he's so happy. I'm getting texts every 5 minutes. "Oh, what do you think of that? What do you think of that?" Like, he's an adult, 25-year-old guy, man. But
pretty cool, though.
Matter. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
so you're working with some boxers. Yeah. You're still teaching.
Still teaching. Yeah.
You're still teaching. So where, and you were talking. You sort of alluded to that. You have a few more years left in teaching.
Yeah.
And, but I can tell by the excitement that comes directly through your eyes and through your facial expression. And you talk, boxing you're always going to be.
Yeah, I think so. I think boxing is one of those things that there's so many facets and assets, like promoting a boxing match, making a boxing match, taking a guy from the first day he walked in the gym, showing him what a left jab is, and it's not fighting. You don't stand in front of the guy. You always angle the guy. It's a piece of pie. Get out of the guy's pie.
Do you ever have any? Have you had any female boxers come in?
Yeah, last night we had a good girl from our gym, Maya, box. I've done pads with it too.
Really?
It was the best match of the night.
Really?
People just loved it in the crowd. It was crazy. Like they just were just like little robots going boom, 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 step in here, step in there, and nonstop. And it's really fun to watch when people are really into it. And there was a young kid named Dante as well that I work with, because I'm involved with a program called the East End Boys Club as well, which helps kids. And it originally started with my grade 8 drama teacher, Jim Crescenzo, back in 1981 at Templeton. And too bad the East End Boys Club wasn't around when I was going to school, because it's helping these kids and getting them jobs. And a lot of the owner of the Vancouver Canucks went to Templeton High School.
Yeah,
Francesco Arcolini.
Okay.
And Paul Accolini was just a year older than me. I played in the soccer with him. And Francesco's a real fan of the East End Boys Club, so a lot of the kids get they get tickets to the different events there, things that they never would have gotten to get to do. And Jim is able to connect them all with that. And when they have the job, the fairs and stuff, there's a lot of those kids are working at the Rogers Arena. And it's a great thing to be involved in. This Dante kid's part of the East End Boys Club, and he's the first kid that really started getting into boxing. He's competing. He's had his third match, and unfortunately, he lost a split decision last night. But he's so keen that forget it, I'm going to beat that guy next time. So, and just great to see that he's got a focus. And the kid's a brilliant kid. Like, he's 16 years old, and he's in grade 11, yet he's doing grade 12 calculus. Like, he's really smart.
So what advice would you have for, like, this isn't, and I, you know, as a parent, okay, which you are, I am too, and not every parent is going to run to, put their kid in boxing. Okay. Hockey is in Canada here, but we live here out here in the Lower Mainland. It's, we live in a multicultural society here.
Right.
And me coming from Winnipeg, it's a different, Winnipeg was multicultural, but it was more, I would suggest, more Eastern European kind of multicultural than, but we did have it. But coming out here to Vancouver, it was truly, and I really, it was a conscious decision because I wanted my children to be exposed to it.
Right.
Okay. But what advice would you give to like a parent, or a guardian, or someone that was, had a young person that was, wanting to get in and maybe expose them to, because I'm a big believer in, you don't know what you like until you find out what you don't like. So, but you have to do it. And then you find out, like, okay. And not to say that you like getting punched in the head. No, we talked about that. Nobody does, but what advice would you give to?
I think it's just let them try, let them go. Let them do what they want to do rather than sort of rather than say, oh yeah, I think this is really good for you. Because then that puts pressure on them. And then that can be counterproductive too, though, because they might say, well, I don't want to do what you like me to do. So that's why I don't like it. Just let them, well, maybe leave something out in the kitchen or something about, it doesn't have to be boxing, anything, you know, because I think anything that you're passionate about is going to make you a better person, because you'll want to know more about it, which will develop the brain cells that you need to for other things too, right? Because, like, if you're reading, sure, you're getting more knowledge in the subject you're reading about, but it also helps your brain figure things out that are maybe not necessarily related to that, right? And that's why I say, kids are always telling me all the time, well, just let me use my calculator on my phone. I don't need to know how to multiply. Well, yeah, but it's developing your brain more than anything, because then your brain can solve other problems that aren't mathematical. So that's what I think to tell a kid is, well, maybe just try it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. It's up to you, you know?
So would you say, like, would you go as far from your own experience as saying that boxing was like kind of like a metaphor for life, like for you?
100%. It's a microcosm of life, because you go every boxing match you have, and I box 180 amateur boxing matches. It's every one of those is a life experience. Because I have to go through the ups and downs of every time of it's going my way, it's not going my way. Okay, the jab landed. What can I do next time so it doesn't land? And
you got to be thinking.
Always thinking. Same with in life. You can't just walk around the street just in a daze, because that's not going to get you nowhere.
So if somebody listening, and we're getting close here we're going to wrap it up here, but if somebody wanted to, after watching this or listening to this, wanted to reach out to you, and maybe had a kid that they'd want to bring to you and say, hey man, like, how would they get a hold of you?
Through the East End Boys Club, we started a program at DS Combat Sports, which is free for everyone on Tuesdays and Thursday nights from 5:45 to 6:45. Come on down. It's at 250 East Pender Street. Come on down and
just give it a whirl.
Give it a whirl. See if you like it. See if you don't have to bring anything other than a pair of shorts and t-shirts and runners, and you're there. You're hit. So simple as that, man. You have to show up. If you don't show up, how do you know? How do you know you're going to be a great basketball player, a great football player, a great guitarist if you don't try it?
Yeah.
Just try it rather than just sit on your friggin' iPad or computer all day, which is
I hear you.
a lot of these people are doing nowadays. But I'm guilty of it sometimes. I start doing these reels, and 20 minutes later, what the heck am I doing here? Like, what is,
I hear you. I hear you. Well, on that note, Manny, thank you so much for coming out here, man.
Well, thanks.
I really appreciate it. I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Great
Thank
to
you.
be here. Yeah.
Thank you. You may be asking yourself, what's any of this got to do with me? Absolutely nothing. Until next time.